Hey there, Bernard. Us again, the Bernard Spence. We react to episode 2 of Kevin Spencer. Well, weirdest reaction last time. Let's react. Let's react to,
Something's wrong with that kid.
let's react to it again.
Said don't work, it never
Hey,
did.
don't worry, Trooper. Let's just see what happens.
You better not cross his path. He's a chain-smoking alcoholic sociopath.
Once again, the animation is rather.
Jail
all
wasn't so
reminiscent
bad, thought
of-
Kevin. Especially since he spent most days just sitting around
well,
drinking prison-made booze
Warrant
and
files.
smoking, which was pretty
Gee.
much all he did when he wasn't in prison anyway. It was Friday, and that meant Kevin had another appointment with Mr. Franklin, the prison psychiatrist. The guard came to get Kevin and take him to Mr. Franklin's office. Kevin didn't much like the looks of him and figured it might be fun to kick him in the sternum, but the guard put shackles on his feet. Guards were quick learners, thought Kevin.
Oh, that's clever.
I
Yeah, so
apologize
that
for
way-
the
so
shackles,
that
Kevin.
way he won't kick
but I'm
him.
afraid some of my colleagues remain unenlightened as to the nature of your mental health. It's as if they expect you're just going to suddenly jump up and attack one of them. Now, let's get right back into our last session.
Yeah, I'll give them
You
that.
were
That is
telling me
clever for
about
them.
Alan.
Put shackles on his feet.
Kevin was in grade 5. He didn't much care for school, but his mom and dad made him go because the government had passed a law against truancy that could send the parents to jail if they didn't make their kids stay in school. Most of all, Kevin hated gym class. He wasn't very good at sports because he
Gym
smoked
class?
a pack a day,
Oh yeah, I
and
hated
because he was
gym-
usually pretty
gym
cranked on
class
prescription cough syrup
because
and had
often
trouble
I
focusing on
couldn't
objects.
run that fast.
Kevin was always the last one
Bingo,
picked
you
for
were
every
always
team.
Bingo, you're always
One
that,
Monday
you were
morning,
always
Kevin
that
figured
bad
he
at
had enough
gym
and decided
class.
to skip
Don't
gym
rub it in,
class
Hody.
altogether. Instead of going, he hid between some cars in the teacher's parking lot and smoked.
Oh, that naughty.
Then he finished off the bottle
child.
of vodka he'd stolen from his neighbor's liquor cabinet. Pretty soon, Kevin got bored. He thought busting out the taillights and snapping off the aerials on all the teachers' cars
Jeez,
might
that's
help.
just vandalism.
Kevin had fun, but when he was done,
Yeah,
he
man,
was
what
still
a
bored.
bad boy.
Kevin thought
Agreed,
maybe he
Hootie.
might just be lonely. Then something strange happened.
I am the god of hellfire, risen to salvage my revenge against all the pitiful souls of those who have betrayed the kingdom of Kevin. Come on, let's set them cars on fire.
Kevin
Oh,
was
that's
a
the
little
duck again.
confused. This was the first time any of the things in his head had ever talked to him. Kevin wondered what the goose wanted.
What's
I
a
have
goose?
risen in servitude as a soldier in the army of glorious vengeance. Retribution shall be ours, said Alan the Magic Goose.
Kevin had never heard of a magic goose before, and because it was all in his head, he wondered if it was just the booze talking.
It
Yeah.
ain't just a booze.
Yeah, it's probably
master.
just his
I'm
imagination.
your imaginary friend, which means you're halfway crazy.
Probably
no
most
matter
likely
which way
you,
you
Code.
come at it. I'm Alan the Magic Goose. Now, how's about that fire?
Kevin wasn't sure if he liked the idea of being crazy, but he sure liked the fire idea.
Oh,
Alan was Kevin's very first friend. Kevin had always hoped for a real friend, but none of the other kids his age enjoyed the same things Kevin did, like drinking cough syrup and hitting things. Alan sure did, though. Kevin decided he'd start going back to gym class because Alan told him that if he didn't stand up to the other kids, then he'd have to spend the rest of his life taking crap from people like he was a worthless, dumb piece of trash, just like his dad.
Albion Online is a sandbox
Oh,
MMORPG in which you write
Okay,
your
that
own
looks like a
story
rather good
instead
ad.
of following a lane.
All right, ladies, it's doubles
Alright.
badminton day, so pick
that's
a
the
partner.
gym teacher.
No one wanted to be Kevin's partner, which was fine by him because he'd already decided to play with Alan. Mr. Carson handed out the badminton rackets. He made a big joke in front of everyone about giving a racket to Kevin's imaginary friend. All the kids laughed.
Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall be cut down like the grass and wither like the green herb.
Kevin wasn't up on his Psalms, and he didn't understand a lot of the big words, so he just stood there paralyzed with self-conscious fear. Kevin sure wished he could just fit in, but because he was genetically devoid of the ability to tell right from wrong, that wasn't real likely to happen.
Think fast, Spencer.
That pretty much put an end to wanting to fit in.
Let you and me get it on, crazy man.
Kevin learned a new lesson that day. If you hit people with a badminton racket, they stop teasing you right quick. Kevin also learned that the gym teacher could pick him up all the way off the ground with one hand.
Oh, jeez.
Kevin figured some things were more fun to learn than
Danger,
others.
but not even the gym teacher
The
punished
principal
punished me
suspended
that
Kevin
bad.
for a week, which was fine by Kevin because that opened up a whole lot more
That's
time in
fine.
his schedule to do the fun things he enjoyed. That night at midnight, Kevin told his parents he was going out for a while. But because they were both already passed out from playing caps, neither one of them heard him. Kevin figured this was
Oh.
for the best,
Heavy
because
sleepers.
it also meant they wouldn't hear him going through their wallets and the liquor cabinet.
Wait, what?
Kevin
Oh,
snuck
dear.
over to the gym teacher's house to see how many hands it would take for Mr. Carson to put out the garden shed fire Kevin had started to light his smoke.
Superb.
Man, he's bad. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with him, Fleagle, but I do sure hope they do something with him. Oh wait, they already did.
Kevin
they threw
was
him
in
in
the
prison.
exercise yard looking at the pictures in a True
Indeed,
Detective
Ripper,
magazine
and that's
because
their
he'd
best
never really
decision.
bothered to learn how to read. Most of the other inmates were lifting weights or playing games because it helped to pass the time.
Watch this, fellas.
Think fast, Spencer.
I remember when he used to come home crying like a sissy because the kids at school done that to him all the time.
Dad didn't like being shown up in front of his friends. He figured on giving his son one damn holy ass whooping just to straighten things out. But before he could reach the boy, the exercise yard suddenly fell silent. Everyone turned to see what was going on. It was Pete Lefty Wilcox's first day in maximum security prison. He'd been arrested quite a few other times, but because he had multiple personality disorder, he usually served his sentence in a facility for the criminally insane. This time, though, he'd fooled the lawyers and judges into thinking he was cured so he could serve his time in the same prison as Kevin. Pete loved Kevin and had been following him for years because he thought Kevin was the Messiah. Anytime Pete
What's
saw something that
personality
he felt
disorder?
threatened his savior, he tried to destroy it. Kevin's dad remembered the day he learned that lesson the hard way.
Okay, just a pause for a moment. Bingo, that reminds me of the moment that you got... That definitely reminds me of the time that you tried to mend a wall and it broke. However, it did not end up with your head. However, it did not seem to end up with your head stuck in it. Yes, if that happened to me, then Hootie and Yuko would have been laughing at me for hours.
Slappy didn't know about Pete either. Slappy was still real upset about having his prison cell set on fire, and he decided he'd knock some sense into Kevin for wrecking his stuff.
Release Pete.
For someone who thought he was an 18-year-old exotic dancer named Brandy Love, Pete sure could throw a punch. Slappy was out cold before he hit the ground.
Ooh.
Kevin's dad laughed so hard he wet his pants, which happened to him a lot because the years of drinking had pretty much
that's
destroyed most of the
disgusting.
control he had over his bodily functions. The guards came and took Slappy to the prison hospital and then sent all of the
dear,
other
that
prisoners
was-
back to their
That's the
cells.
scars.
Everyone was pretty mad at Pete for
He's not
wrecking
going to
their
recover
fun,
then.
but
He's
no
not
one
gonna
said
recover
anything
from that.
because Pete was so large and violently insane. Kevin liked having Pete around, mostly because Pete would
Indeed,
do whatever
Bonbon, he
Kevin and
won't
Alan
recover
told him
from
to,
that.
which meant that Kevin would never have to buy smokes again. As soon as all the other prisoners learned about Pete's devotion, they started treating Kevin a whole lot differently. It was the first time in his life that Kevin had ever been popular, so he decided to exploit the power and seize control of the black market trade in prison.
You
Pretty
can't
soon,
do that.
Kevin was making himself a nice chunk of change. This made Kevin's dad real happy. He figured he'd get a cut because he was family. Kevin wasn't too keen on the idea of sharing his money and smokes, so later that night, he decided to introduce his dad to one of Pete's other personalities, Mistress Esmeralda.
You're a real handsome man, Percy.
Ooh. That did not sound good.
Pete Wilcox took a leave of absence from seminary school to join the Vietnam War because he felt it was the least he
he's
owed
all
to
right.
God in his country.
Snorky.
The war was real horrible, and Pete had a lot of difficulty dealing with the senseless bloodletting and the
Hey,
homesickness.
we're back to the army.
Pretty soon, Pete developed several other personalities because
Hey,
of the
Drupal,
stress.
isn't your son
All
Max
the
trained to go to
marijuana
the
and
army?
LSD probably had something to do
Ah,
with it
yeah,
too.
he
But try
is
telling
trained to
Pete
go
that.
to the army.
When Pete came home from the war, it seemed like most people weren't too happy to see him.
You murderer! Baby killer! There will be no tambourine song for you.
Pete spent the next few years drifting aimlessly around the country with his Bible and his fractured mind.
And Paul said unto Jeremiah, you can't put your luggage there because that's where Maurice Chevalier keeps his waffles. And then God smote them all about the head just because he felt like it.
One day, Pete was going through the women's lingerie rack of a discount clothing store looking for an outfit for Brandy to wear to an audition at a local strip joint when he
Oh
was
my
spotted by
goodness.
a fashion designer. The designer took one look at Pete and offered him a contract to work as a before picture model. A few weeks later, the designer thought it would be really funny to put Pete in a real runway fashion show. The
You know,
paparazzi
Vicky.
loved him, and Vogue
You know,
magazine
Vicky,
declared him a
I know
breath of
you like
fresh
to
air.
design fashion sometimes.
Pretty soon,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was in
It's
demand
sometimes
as
a
a
hobby of me to
high-priced
just.
supermodel.
It's sometimes a hobby of mine to design clothes.
Pete. More pounds, more pounds. Petey's sad, such a sad boy. Fabulous. The camera's your lover. You haven't seen her in months. She comes closer. Make love to me, Pete. Now is the time you lay me down in the tall grass and do your stuff.
Pete didn't much care for modeling, but he sure liked having all that money. A smart man could have invested what he made and lived off it for the rest of his life. But because Pete was crazy from the war and hooked on weight loss pills, he pretty much blew it all by having his mobile home gold-plated. Then one day, the last thread holding Pete's fragile mind together snapped, and his whole career came crashing down like a cheap house of cards. At first, Pete didn't much care, but then he got to missing the limelight of being a supermodel, so he took the whole staff of a J.C. Penney outlet hostage at gunpoint and made them watch as he tried on the entire Young Miss Spring line and paraded up and down the aisle of the store.
Oh,
Bring the winter magic to your garden with Dunster House.
okay, was it just me,
Cozy
or was
with
that ad
friends
right
and
on
family
point? The camera was then shot, and then the ad got cued.
The judge and all the lawyers at his trial agreed that Pete was mentally incompetent and should be locked in an institution for criminally insane violent offenders and put on a constant supply of lithium.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, anyone got a knife I can borrow? Oh, a knife. Okay, come on, anyone. Son of a bitch. Okay, how about some rope? I'll make a deal with you. Whoever gives me the rope, I won't strangle with it. I'm not saying I won't strangle you, just that I won't do it with the rope.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When you heat me up, you hear
Okay,
me
those
chat.
people are
The
also
metal plate in my
insane.
head is a really big computer chip planted by the
Yeah, there seems
government
to be
so
so
they
many
can
people
monitor my
mad.
dreams and prevent me from assuming my rightful place as the all-knowing commander of the universe!
Pete was a little edgy during his first week in the institution because his body was trying to make the transition from a dependency on diet pills to a dependency on lithium. One of his counselors thought it might help if Pete returned to his seminary studies. But because Pete was too jacked up on lithium to focus on the words, one of the orderlies read the Bible to him.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty.
Hi, Jesus Christ. I'm Pete. Most of the
No,
time,
that's
anyway.
Kevin.
Kevin was pretty sure the big cross-dressing man was even crazier than he was. But because he seemed willing to do whatever Kevin told him to, Alan figured it was a pretty good deal. It was also right around that time that Pete was diagnosed with narcolepsy.
Oh, that ain't good.
Now that Slappy was laid up, Alan commanded Kevin to seize control of the black market trade in prison. Kevin had never been in charge of anything before, and he was kind of nervous. But Kevin found out
Well,
right
we're all
quick
nervous
that people will do
sometimes.
just about anything you ask them to, if you're polite and have a violent friend as big as Pete who will do whatever you tell him to because his
Okay,
head
that's
doesn't work
kinda
right
odd.
and he thinks you're Jesus Christ. Alan told Kevin that from now on, he was calling all the shots.
Name and who you're here to see, please.
Anastasia Spencer. Here to see Percy and Kevin Spencer.
Charlie Plunt, shame.
Sign here. I'll have to check your purse, ma'am.
What for?
Contraband, weapons, that type of thing. You as well, sir. Empty your pockets. I'll have to keep this stuff here. You can pick it up on your way out. Have a nice day.
That's it?
All taken care of. Next.
Jeez, who's a lady gotta sleep with to get a cavity search around here? What a ripoff.
Don't tell Kevin you gave me any smokes.
Where's my boy? You keeping an eye on him like I said, ain't you? I don't want to see him falling in with the wrong crowd. He's still young. He's still got his whole life ahead of him.
He ain't no good, that one.
Yeah, his whole
head's
life ahead
broken
in
or
prison.
something. We should have kept the other one and give him up.
Hey, Percy.
Charlie, you old dog, how's it hanging?
Not too shabby.
You still putting all them notches on your bedpost? Or is old age slowing you down some?
Whoa, 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 what the?
Well, you know, little bit here, little bit there. Adds up some, I
Yeah,
guess.
dodgeable
How about you? You getting
beers.
any?
Look, I don't know what Kevin told you about me and that freak Pete.
Kevin sent Mistress Esmeralda for a visit, didn't he?
Mom and Charlie thought this was really funny, and they spent a good long time laughing at Dad.
So, now that you're Pete's bitch, you're gonna want a divorce?
Kevin's old man didn't like to be made fun of, and he aimed to fix the problem right quick. But because he was still so sore, he couldn't move very fast. Which was probably for the best, because Kevin and Pete had just walked in, and the old man wasn't in the market for any more punishment.
I hear you're doing real good, boy. I always knew you'd make something of yourself.
Kevin and his mom caught up on old times. Dad was still real mad at Kevin, so he didn't say a word. Kevin didn't much care for the silent treatment, and Dad was really starting to get on his nerves. So he figured he'd bribe the warden and get the old man paroled, just to get him out of his hair for a couple of months. Which was pretty much as long as the dumb bastard had ever been able to stay out of prison.
At least he now gets a break.
Kevin and his dad had joined the Cub Scouts because the court had ordered the old man to start taking better care of the boy and doing more family-oriented things. The judge said if he didn't, Kevin would be removed from his home and placed in foster care.
Where do we sign up?
If Kevin goes, so does your child support from welfare.
The old man didn't like the sounds of that too much because that was the money he'd set aside for lottery tickets and lap dances.
Oh dear. Besides, I remember when I was a Boy Scout.
I hope everyone remembered to be prepared. Just a little Cub Scout humor. I'd also like to take this opportunity to welcome our newest father and son. Hopefully they'll find the cubbing experience as rewarding as we all have. This is Percy Spencer and his little boy Kevin.
Daddy, the new man scares me.
Oh, Mr. Spencer, I'm afraid our canoe trip is a no-smoking voyage. Only you can prevent forest fires. All the rules were clearly outlined in the pamphlet.
I ain't never learned how to read.
Oh, that's too bad. So anyway, there's going to be 2 dads and 2 sons in each canoe. We chose to draw numbers to decide everyone's canoe buddies for the first day. So when I call your name, go stand beside the canoe number you're assigned to.
None of the other Cub Scouts or their fathers wanted to be in the same canoe as Kevin and his dad. Eventually they drew straws, and Mr. Peterson and his son Gary lost. Things went pretty well for about 10 minutes. Then Kevin and his dad decided canoeing was too damn much work and kicked back to share a bottle of gin and a smoke.
Dad, Kevin and his dad aren't paddling, and they're smoking too.
Mr. Peterson started to give Kevin's dad a lecture. The old man wasn't much in the mood for a good talking to, so he hit Mr. Peterson in the knee with his canoe paddle.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Kevin's old man had really wanted to bust him a sweet one across the head, but he figured if Mr. Peterson was knocked out, then he'd have to paddle. Gary kind of let the whole equal workload issue slide after that. That night they set up camp on a beach beside the lake. Mr. Peterson and Gary set up the Spencer tent because they didn't want to get hit again. Then everyone gathered around the hibachi to cook dinner. It looked like a lot of work, and since Kevin didn't much care for that kind of thing, he was real glad his dad had brought along a bucket of chicken. All the others stared at them like they were idiots, but no one said anything because they all saw how bad Mr. Peterson was limping. After dinner, everyone cleaned up their plates and did the dishes. Kevin and his dad were done first because all they had to do was throw their empty bucket, plastic cutlery, and styrofoam plates into the woods. While they were waiting for the others to finish, they got real good and drilled on the rest of their gin and smoked half a pack of unfiltered cigarettes. When it got dark, the scout leader started a campfire by rubbing 2 sticks together. Kevin's dad thought it was really funny.
Why don't you use a lighter, you effing bonehead?
Mr. Spencer, I'm going to have to ask you again to please watch your language in front of the children.
Hey, pal, unless you want to be walking like Mr. Peterson, you best shut your hole.
Once the fire was going, everyone sat around roasting marshmallows and taking turns telling scary stories.
And when she got out of the car, she saw that her boyfriend was hanging from a tree, and that noise she heard was his fingernails scraping across the roof of the car. The police called and told the woman that they had traced the call and that it was coming from inside her house.
That's nothing. You want to hear scary?
Kevin's dad waited until he had everyone's attention, and all you could hear were the crickets. Then he told everyone about the first time he was arrested and strip searched by a border guard.
Well, that's it for tonight. Good night, everybody.
They ain't never gonna learn if you don't tell them.
The next morning, Kevin and his dad slept off their hangovers while all the others packed. When Kevin and his dad finally got up, the scout leader told them that he had decided to cut the trip short and that they were all going home. Kevin was sad because it was the most fun he'd ever had in his life. But the old man was real happy because if they hurried, he could still make happy hour at the Piece of Tail Lap Dancing Emporium.
Well, that's enough of that. Bye, everyone.